What's going on, everybody, and welcome to my channel where I talk about banjos, music, and how to use music as a healing modality. Today, we are going to talk about how to choose a banjo. So, this is going to be a channel that talks a lot about banjos, as that is my spirit instrument. That is an instrument that I feel very connected to, and it's also an instrument that came to me magically, which I will share the story of that at a later time. But today, we're going to talk about the different types of banjos. And today, we're going to start with our beautiful fretless banjos. So a fretless banjo is a banjo and it's generally open back. That's the traditional style of them. And it doesn't have frets. So frets, in case you're brand new to music, frets are the metal bars that tell you where the spacing for the notes is. They're kind of like markers, like guidelines. And there's nothing wrong with playing either way. It's really about what you feel connected to, and that's what this whole channel is about, is what you feel connected to. So with a fretless banjo, some of the cons, and you can look at this as a con if you would like to, is that it does not have markers to tell you where you are going to place your fingers. I say that you can look at this as a con if you would like to, because it really is about preference. What I love about not having the frets, as far as the banjo goes, is that it allows me an opportunity to build a relationship with the individual sounds and the placements of those sounds on here. So this is especially, I feel like, very good for oral learners, people who learn by listening, people who learn by feeling, people who learn by um, really being connected to things. So another great thing about the fretless banjo is that it is really nice for slides. And if you're brand new to music, and if you're brand new to um, any type of stringed instrument, a slide is something that what you will learn about eventually. But essentially, a slide is moving from one note, to another note, um, without having to lift your finger up. So you never stop the vibration with the slide. Okay, cool. And so basically, the sound of the fretless banjo is. So that's the sound. It is a bit of a murkier sound, I think, but it's really good for that old time claw hammer style, which is what you just watched me play. And claw hammer is where you kind of bend those knuckles here and you use the fingers to strum while hitting that bum diddy pattern, the top string with the thumb every other, and sometimes every single time. Okay, great. So we're going to move on to our next banjo choice. So next we have the resonator banjo. So this is what is traditionally used in bluegrass music. So the resonator banjo is called a resonator banjo because, if you can see, the difference between this and the fretless banjo that I just showed you is that it has a closed back. Not only does it have a closed back, but it also has a rim around it here. And this is called a resonator. This resonator actually helps to amplify the sound. So you'll find that bluegrass banjos tend to have like a louder, more twangy sound, especially when played with finger picks. Now, while I do play some finger picking styles, I don't actually use finger picks, but that's again all about preference. It's about what you want. And so the great thing about this one is that it does have frets, so it has little frets here, it has markers. This is especially good for beginners and especially good for people who are more connected to having frets or more used to having frets. Again, it's all about preference. There's no real this is better for, that's better for, because you can also play And don't let the don't let the bluegrass community or the old time community hear me say this, but you can play any style of banjo on any banjo depending on what style it is that you're looking for and what it is you want, what the sound is, what you feel connected to. um, I tend to play finger picking on my open back banjo all the time. Okay, so this is the sound of the resonator banjo. So as you can hear, that has a louder, like more twangy sound to it, especially once you add those finger picks, you'll really start to see a difference in, like, the sound, and it's quite loud actually. So there's that. So now we have our last option for banjo. And so here we actually have a open back banjo. So this is just an open back fretted banjo. This one is by the brand Deering, and an open back banjo is generally used for old time style playing. And so this is a claw hammer that I played with the first banjo, with the fretless banjo. That style is generally used for um, yeah, is generally used for these types of banjos. So all the tuning's the same. They're all the 5 strings. And again, it's really about sound preference. And if you want to be, one of the cool kids, you can choose your banjo based on, like, what is traditionally used. Like, but I am very connected to the idea of choosing what feels right to you and learning the basics of that instrument and how it's played, and then expanding so that you have the foundations to create what it is that you feel called to share or to express with, like, people, with the world, and with whomever. So this here is the open back banjo. It does play a little bit quieter because it does not have a resonator here. And essentially everything else is the same. This one looks like it has guitar tuners on it, um, but it's also still tuned, like, again, the same way, has the frets. So, and so that there is our final style of banjo. And really, it's all, I love all of them for different reasons. Um, I don't play a lot of traditional styles, like, I can. Um, some of the patterns are the same, some of the foundations, but I say go for what feels good to you. Like, um, I think the whole intention with my idea of, like, playing music is to get out of your head and to really connect to what feels good. Of course, there are going to be certain things that you want to consider, like, that may come from a logical standpoint. But the biggest thing is that whatever instrument you choose, you're going to build a relationship with that instrument regardless of the stats. So you're going to learn how the neck feels. You're going to learn how the strings play. You're going to learn how to make certain sounds with it. You're going to learn whether you choose fretless or fretted. You're going to learn um, which one feels the best to you, so you're going to learn the feeling of those things. And just like with a person, my biggest thing with banjos is to get to know anything, an instrument, um, or anything else, the same way you would get to know a friend, which is just spending time with it every day, and, like, learning things about it. And every day that you play the banjo, every day that you play any type of music, you're going to discover new things about that banjo. And there will be times where it feels like, stagnant, or times where it feels like there's not a lot of movement happening. But trust and believe, like, this is you're learning stuff in those spaces as well. Like, and so when choosing an instrument, get to know the instrument as you would get to know a friend, slowly and eternally. Like, as things are always changing, you're always changing, and new things are always revealing themselves. Thank you again for tuning into this Banjo channel, and I hope you enjoy the video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below to get notifications um, anytime I post a new content. Okay, but until next time, I will see y'all. Peace.